Alrighty, we're doing a fishing vlog today. The news out of Switzerland. A little common sense to start the day. First of all, I'm fishing with a Len Thompson 5-diamond number 0 spoon at my secret location, which you might see if we rotate. You'll see this white antenna behind us. It's a secret spot. All right, so the news coming out of Switzerland. World Cycling's governing body bans female transgender athletes from women's events. The international cycling body, UCI in French, I think it's the Union Cycliste Internationale. In English, I think it's the International Cyclist Union, which has an acronym of ICU, which is an unfortunate acronym to say the least. They've announced a ban on transgender athletes, men who have physically changed their appearance to look female. Men who have gone through puberty can no longer compete in women's competitive cycling at the international scale. Transgender women who transitioned after male puberty will no longer be able to compete in women's races. World Cycling governing body, the UCI, said Friday. Sorry, I just got to pause here and highlight something. Can we just appreciate what we just read? Transgender women who transition after male puberty. The Ingsoc Orwellian newspeak of the day wants us to understand this sentence and make sense of it. Women who transition after male puberty. It doesn't make sense. It cannot make sense. And the only saving grace is that common sense is prevailing, if only a touch too late. The decision came after American rider Austin Killips became the first openly transgender woman to win an official cycling event earlier this year. Some people out there are going to be outraged at this decision, and other people are going to be saying it's about time a little bit of common sense prevails. But the astonishing thing about the article, reading the article, I happen to have seen it in CTV News, and my inkling is to say, CTV News, you shameless propagandists, your headline highlights female first to describe the athlete. UCI bans female transgender athletes from women's competitive cycling, leading a reader to think that there's somehow an injustice of having banned women from women's sports. Transgender women, as far as the language of the day goes, as far as the Ingsoc, the newspeak goes, transgender women are men who have changed their physical appearance to align with their understanding, their sentiment of their gender expression. Biological males who have transformed their body through hormones or surgery into looking feminine, but were born male and will always be male from a chromosome physiological perspective, even if they change their exterior. They, who have gone through puberty, have had the benefits of testosterone, muscle mass, bone density, heart size, arm span. They can no longer compete in women's sports. The headline, female transgender athletes, creates the impression of an injustice on its face. I want to blame CTV News, but it's an Associated Press article. Bottom line, they are banning men who have gone through puberty, who have decided to transform their bodies into feminine-looking bodies from competitive sports. And it was only after, of course, the first openly transgender athlete came in and won an international event. For women, they say, this is not fair. It's not rocket science. It is just simple biology. It's not fair. Trans athletes are free to partake in sports, whatever, but they're not free to come into women's sports with the biological advantages that they have and dominate a sport that was created, a category, to protect women's rights. The logical part in all of this is just to create an open category. You have your XX category, you have your XY category, and you have your open for anybody who wants to compete in the open category. The irony is, this solution probably won't work for the very people who are claiming injustice, because I can imagine those who have now taken estrogen, hormone blockers, those males who have now transformed their bodies through surgery and hormones into looking feminine are going to say, it's unfair for us to have to compete with males who are not taking estrogen, who are not doing whatever it is that, transforms their body from masculine looking bodies into feminine looking. It's not fair for us. And the ultimate irony, it's the insanity of the story that came out a little earlier. Nate Brody did an amazing video on this. It was a trans weightlifter who was saying it's not fair that some biological male who just says I identify as a woman gets to compete and crush my former record as a trans athlete because that trans athlete says I'm legitimate, sincere in my beliefs, but that guy isn't, and he came in and broke my records as the first trans. This is reality. This is the reality of 2023.
That one lifter claiming to be trans just to get those medals and setting records and all that stuff. Here's the problem. You shouldn't really be asking me, because I ultimately, weird thing to say, I come from a place of privilege, which, like I said, is weird to say. You gotta keep in mind, I transitioned almost 20 years ago. I got all of my papers done. I have my passport. I got surgery. I can prove without any doubt whatsoever that I have gone through every step. And it really struck me that maybe my participation isn't necessarily fair. I mean, there's science, whatever, but people welcome me because I'm actually nice to people.
I suspect if you set an open category, the people who are taking chemicals that would put them at a competitive disadvantage to men who are not on those hormones would complain about an injustice which implicitly acknowledges the same injustice that exists vis-a-vis them and women athletes who did not have the benefit of going through puberty, developing muscle mass, bone density, heart size, lung capacity, and arm span. Anyhow, that's it. That's the news of the day. When common sense prevails, part of you says amazing, fantastic, and the other part says, what has become of Western educational, scientific society where we cannot say the basic truths that boys are boys, girls are girls, there are fundamental biological differences that create a world in which, free as someone ought to be to do whatever they want to their body as an adult, they cannot deny the injustice that would ensue if, as a result of their decision, they get to compete in competitive sports at the highest level with all of their inherent biological advantages over women who do not have those advantages. Free to do what you want, but your freedom does not get to trump the rights, the biological rights of others. I don't think we're going to catch any fish today. All right, not going to happen today. Last cast, and as I say it, if you like my videos, you like my content, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Rumble, Viva Frei, vivabarneslaw.locals.com. You can get some merch at vivafrei.com. Above all else, take care of yourselves, check in on friends and family, make sure everyone around you is doing well, and now you know your vlog. Here, fishy, fishy, fishy. All right, last interjection, I promise, because I've got to head out for a jog. We need to end this vlog with a quote from the president of the UCI, David Lapartien. Despite the ban, UCI President David Lapartien said, quote, "The UCI would like to reaffirm that cycling as a competitive sport, leisure activity, or means of transport is open to everyone, including transgender people, whom we encourage, like everybody else, to take part in our sport." Can we just pause for a moment and reflect on the sheer virtue-signaling absurdity of what we just heard? This is the president of the UCI, David Lapartien. Oddly enough, or ironically enough, his last name in French, if you put an apostrophe after the L, means Lapartien, to belong to or to belong to somebody. He felt the need, after announcing a rule that he knew is going to piss off some people at the very least, he felt the need to reassure everybody that he's still an inclusive person, that transgender people are still welcome to use bikes for sport, for leisure, or for transport. This guy felt the need to reassure everybody that transgender people are still welcome to use bicycles. It illustrates the absolute madness of the entire situation, that after announcing this rule, the guy must nonetheless say, I'm inclusive, I'm tolerant, I somehow need to specify that transgender people can use bicycles. It's absurd. Period. It's absurd. I'm going for a jog to get this nervous anxiety out of my body. Peace.